Hello, my name's John DeCola. I'm the fire chief of the Neshannock Volunteer Fire Department in Lawrence County, Pennsylvania. Well, on the evening of September 11th at about 10:30 in the evening, we received a call for a structure fire in one of our rural areas of the community. This is an area that's not serviced by fire hydrants, so we automatically send water tenders to those jurisdictions. Our police were the first ones to arrive on scene in approximately 6 minutes after the original call, and they relayed back through the dispatcher that the residential structure fire was in fact confirmed, and there was flame showing through the roof areas. A second unit arrived at about the same time the police did. That was an EMS unit, and they reconfirmed what the police officers had reported. That information was then relayed to the responding fire apparatus, which was myself in a command vehicle and our first out engine, and we prepared then to make an interior attack upon arrival. When I arrived, I did also confirm that there was heavy fire venting through the roof of a portion of the building. This residential structure was approximately 3,000 to 4,000 square feet in a ranch type construction, and I have to estimate that about a third of it was well involved in fire. The first engine had 2 people on it and myself. Our second in unit then was a water tender with 2 people on it, and we decided to attempt to make an initial interior attack with the 2 men from the first in engine and myself. Upon attempting to do that, we flowed water for just a brief period of time, realizing we had not had established a significant water supply as of yet because the tender operation wasn't in progress. At that time, we allowed another minute or 2 for the water supply to begin to be established, and a second arriving officer then met me at the scene, and he and I determined at that point that we should try the PA.flv.wmv deployment device, and we did that almost immediately after making that decision, while we were beginning now our full-bore interior attack with an interior line. The result of the deployment of the PA.flv.wmv was tremendous in my opinion. I knew that it probably wouldn't extinguish the fire, but we both felt that if we landed it in the proper location in this building, that it might buy us a few extra minutes, which would enable us to positively establish the balance of our water tender operations. So therefore it was deployed, it did activate, and immediately the intense flame that we encountered was reduced significantly to a point where the huge orange glow was pretty much dissipated. We still had fire, but it did darken down the fire and result in our being able to get inside with additional attack lines then and begin to really knock down the balance of the fire. At the end of this emergency, we generally do walk-arounds on all of them, and the captain, who was the other officer, and I did walk through this building and begin to analyze what we felt happened and where we felt things were going. In doing that, I looked at the pitched roof area or attic area of this structure. And again, this is a ranch type home. The roof was pretty much open from one end to the other. There were some additions onto the house that were covered by flat roofs, but of our main concern was fire spread through the roof area based on the amount of fire we had. When we reviewed that, it was evident that the chemical from the PA.flv.wmv actually emitted up and was carried into the pitched roof area of this house, and consequently there was no extension of fire there. There had been fire in that particular area, but the PA.flv.wmv chemical extinguished that fire, and the residue left from that agent being released, I truly believe kept the fire from spreading to those areas. We never applied water to the pitched roof area of this house, as evidenced by there's no water damage in the area of the home that was covered by the pitched roof. So our only conclusion was that the PA.flv.wmv device and the emitting of the chemical in that particular area played a substantial role in eliminating and limiting the amount of fire spread that we had. So this is our second deployment of that device within about a 2-week period of time. We're pretty much sold on them. We've ordered 2 more to replace the ones that we have. We've made arrangements with the First Deployment's insurance carrier to reimburse us for the device, and I think it's going to become part of our normal routine operations to carry one on most of our first out apparatus now, and also our officers' vehicles.
You had a recent deployment. Now, what was the application? How was that different than this deployment?
The first deployment was based on similar situation in that the first arriving units were an officer in an officer's vehicle, not a piece of fire equipment, and also a police officer. And that was a basement fire. What they determined was the makings of a working basement fire. They had no hose line available. They had no manpower available. So they chose at that time to use the PA.flv.wmv. And it was meant to either buy them time or attempt to extinguish the fire. They extinguished the fire with the PA.flv.wmv to the point where it took a half a gallon of water to do the mop up in the basement. This fire was a little different in that it was well involved. It had a heavy fire load, and we deployed the PA.flv.wmv in this case to allow us to gain some extra minutes to make sure our water supply was established, because we looked for a long fight. We carry 1,000 gallons of water on the first out engine, and that's what we were working with only 2 men on a hose line and no backup. So the PA.flv.wmv served as an intermediary to buy us some time and also give these guys a little bit of a backup, and it worked well.
How would this device apply to firefighter safety?
In both applications, and especially the first application, the officers and firefighters on the scene realized an immediate drop in temperature of the fire area. I believe that the temperature in the first deployment dropped the fire down from 600 or 700 degrees to 130, as evidenced by our thermal imaging cameras. So I think that's a safety factor. However, you know, this is a tool. It's not meant to take the place of our normal, routine, hard work operations in any place, but it's a tool. I want to tell you that I think the education that we've had in the last 3 weeks by using these devices twice has now kind of been etched in my people's minds that when we're grabbing tools and we're grabbing a hose line, grab the PA.flv.wmv box, because it's part of the arsenal that we need at the front door. And I only say that because when we try new things, no matter what it's been, a new tool or a new type of nozzle, we have a tendency to kind of set that on the back shelf because we're not used to pulling that particular item or whatever and run it to the front door. In this case now, this is the second time in a short period of time, and I think our minds now are beginning to understand that it's a positive tool that we need to make sure we have at the front door. Whether we deploy it or not, we'll have to make that determination on a call-by-call basis. But I think it's just another piece of arsenal that it lowered the temperature, it knocked down the fire, it bought us some time to allow us to either organize or advance hose lines. So it's just another piece that should be out there.
Fire?
Sure. The device here on my right hand, this is the first one we deployed at the fire on Sunrise Drive. This was the basement fire that we deployed down the basement stairs. This device here on my left hand is the device that we actually used on the fire on the evening of September 11th that we threw into the fully involved fire that knocked that fire down and bought us a few more minutes while our attack teams deployed their attack lines to the front door.
I think whatever the equipment that's available that is being tested, and in this case being proven in our situation, is absolutely a necessity for everybody to carry, irregardless of the expense. I mean, we complain about expensive things, but everything we do in the fire service is expensive. So this is just one more small tool that we buy. That, how do you equate that to someone's life? Or if it's not a life hazard, how do you equate it to doing more damage to someone's home when it's not necessary? The first device we deployed, the insurance carrier was contacted by my captain and asked if they would reimburse us for the cost of the PA.flv.wmv. When we explained to him how it worked, what it did, and reminded him of the fact that we only used a half a gallon of water and there was no water damage in that structure, they asked us to send a bill to a particular address so we could get reimbursed. So I think the insurance industry should be looking at these as well, because it is a mechanism to minimize damage.